We are live.
What's up, guys? We're back. Me and Brock.
Barely alive.
Hope y'all liked the last episode, having a special guest on. We want more guests on. If you guys have any recommendations, drop us in the comments or in the DMs. We'd love to have somebody on that's out there crushing.
Doing some stuff, making things happen, taking action.
This is the All or Nothing show.
That's what it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, big weekend this past weekend for both Brock and I. And I'm eating a little bagel right now, so I'm going to let Brock kick it off with the Richmond Marathon. Give us a little recap, dude.
Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, so been preparing them for this for a little while. So if any of you have followed me for a little bit, I did do my own solo marathon back on, I think it was July 30th, but the end of July over the summer. Mm-hmm. And so I had a little bit of confidence. It's technically my first marathon officially, but I've done the distance really twice because I did the marathon by myself on the Capitol Trail over the summer, and then I did a 50K, which is 31.06 miles over at the Pocahontas State Park a few weeks after the marathon back in August. 31.06 miles. Yeah. So both had their ups and downs and conditional issues. So, and one actually relates back to the Richmond, but to make time, anyway, I'm a fast forward that bullshit. That's what I'm trying to say. Get to the race day. Spending the past 9 weeks really working up and ramping up my mileage for this. Did an actual deload. Did what I was supposed to do. So the last 2 weeks I kind of worked my mileage a little bit lower. Had a little shakeout run Friday morning and then headed into the race Saturday morning. So, trying to set the scene a little bit. I'm in the sixth wave that leaves. So standing in line, a bunch of other people. I'm looking around. I see, a lot of people are with their spouse, a friend, a family member, things like that. I'm just standing there, just alone. I got my little vest on, which was one last minute thing I was going back and forth on was whether I should wear the vest. But if I didn't wear the vest, I told Maddie, and honestly, it was probably smart to bring my phone, especially filming a few little moments. So
break down for me. Because I don't know. Yeah. Maybe nobody knows. What all goes into a vest? At least yours.
So the benefit of a vest is obviously you're almost throwing it around your shoulders like a backpack, right? Yeah. The benefit is how I set it up is I just put one bottle in one of the little pockets and then I put my phone in the other.
Okay.
And then also there's the side pockets and zip pockets. These other mesh spots where you can put in gels. You could put salt tablets, all these different things. So it's great to kind of put everything on you and still be relatively lightweight. What a lot of other people will do is they'll do what's called a running belt.
Like fanny pack.
No, it's not really a fanny pack, although some will look like that. It's almost like a sleeve. It almost looks like an arm sleeve around your waist, but it has mesh pockets.
Got it.
So it's almost like just another waistband with no pant legs, if that makes sense. And that works the same way where it has little mesh pockets and you can put things. You wouldn't really put a bottle in there, but you could easily put gels. You could do a phone, and it wouldn't jump around too much depending on the brand. But I don't have one of those. I don't really like the way they look.
Yeah.
So I went with the vest. So anyway, back into the starting line. The waves are slowly going by. I'm kind of getting ready to set my watch. Looking over at Maddie. I already needed to pee again, which kind of sucked. So I'd peed 5 times before the race. I hit the restroom in the hotel that was close to the starting line, and that was a fucking shit show. People were just in and out. I mean, it was like a line, and thank God I didn't need a poop because you go in the stall and there was no toilet paper. People have ravaged that thing.
Damn.
But peed there, but still 20 minutes later by race time I needed to kind of pee a little bit, and so I was already thinking about, okay, I remember seeing there's a rest stop at 2 miles out. So anyway, race starts. Hit the 2 miles, feeling pretty good. I start passing everybody. I really wasn't trying to push the pace too hard. Looking back, I probably came out a little bit too fast. But I was really just going by feel. Had a good little stride. Breathing felt super easy and comfortable. Legs felt good. A little bit of that nervous energy, those jitters in your legs. But a couple miles in, I kind of set in. Hit the rest stop, 2 miles in. Quickly grabbed a porta potty, which I'm glad because they got busier as you went on through the race where there was actually lines, but when I went, I was in and out quick.
I'd be so pissed.
Yeah. Jumped back in the race, got going, and that was actually the only pee break I took the entire race, surprisingly. So then fast forward a little bit, hit 4 miles, still feeling super good, cruising. I'd worked my way up to like the 4:15 group, so I was really on pace, averaging like a 9 minute per mile, which for me is like on the higher end, but in a good spot. And then coming up on 6 miles, we start hitting this decline, and I start really riding this decline. I think on that mile, I hit like a little bit over an 8 minute mile. I was crushing, riding that really well, which I feel like in my training, I've done a really good job at not just surviving the decline and trying to fight myself from like falling too fast, but really comfortably ride it, use it to my advantage. And so I cruised down that. There was a little bit of an uphill, flew up that, felt good. Come across the bridge, and I shoot you a text that I was coming, getting kind of close. And so weaving in and out, there's actually like these nice little forest-looking spots that are along this like road, but it's one of those like unmarked kind of like lined roads across the bridge on that side. But neat little spot. But I'm noticing, A, I need to refill my bottle, and 2, my hamstrings are starting to get kind of tired, kind of get fatigued, which I wasn't overly worried about, but I was like, hey, we're only a fourth or like a third into this race, and they're already getting tired. And I know I got at least one more like somewhat uphill battle like later on across the bridge as far as elevation. But I was like, I'll deal with it, I guess, as it arises. So then I get closer to you, and so I'm about 11 miles in, and I feel my heart spike. And if you guys have listened to previous podcasts, I'll kind of give you the cliff notes, but both Austin and I have this minor heart condition that it's not life-threatening, but it's basically your heart has an extra nerve on it that sends an extra electrical signal that kind of like rapidly kickstarts your heart rate. And typically it's normal day things. It's, you skip a breath, you drink something like kind of quickly, or it goes down the wrong pipe, or something surprises you. And it's like a brief spike where your heart goes up 20, 30 beats per minute, but then, a couple deep breaths, you're fine. It's like 5 to 10 second episodes for me. Sometimes they can be a little bit longer. Often, more of the times than not, it's not during exercise, but when it is, it's harder to calm it down because your body's already, working harder. The heart rate's already up, so it's harder. Why this matters is because, I'm running a marathon, but this has happened on the last time I ran a marathon. And when that happened, it was 16 miles in, it spiked. I paused my watch and tried to take 3 minutes to slow my heart rate. That didn't work. It still was pretty elevated. And so I realized in this marathon, stopping's not going to help me, and it's just going to kill my time more. So I decided to just keep on running with it. And so Austin was there, met up with him, ran with him for a little bit of this section. So he got some clips for me. And basically from mile 11 to 15, I was running with an average 195 beats per minute heart rate. And the best way I can describe it to everybody is if a water bottle is your energy level and the water is your energy, and you're slowly during the race pouring out that bottle. With the heart rate spike issue, it's like someone stabbed a hole in the bottom of the bottle, so now it's leaking as you're already pouring out energy. So, you're just getting that much fatigue, that much quicker. And the weird thing about this heart condition, too, is my breathing is the same pace. It's calm breathing. It's the same breath pattern, but the heart's beating as if I'm in a full sprint. So it's not only draining my energy, but it's making me really kind of like nervous and anxious in a way because I don't want to show up in an EMT, car. I don't want to, scare Maddie. She was coming up on the 16-mile marker, so I didn't want to tell her about it. So I keep pushing on. I get to 16 miles, see Maddie, my family, say hi to them, give Maddie a kiss, keep running through. And then once I got kind of over to, what street was that? I don't know, right near Altria Theater, basically, and we're kind of running down VCU area.
Yeah, I forget that street.
I decided, okay, I need to start mixing in some walk-run intervals. So basically from mile 16 through the end of the race, I was going anywhere from like 2-minute walk, 4-minute run, 3-minute walk, 3-minute run. Like just, it wasn't something specific I stuck to. I just kind of looked at, okay, I'm going to run from this block to that second stoplight. Just whatever I could like will myself to physically do. Because the heart rate really discouraged me, and I think made things worse because I probably would have fatigued in my hamstrings anyway, because I mentioned earlier they were already starting to fatigue on me. But once the heart rate became an issue, I got really lazy with taking in electrolytes and fuel as far as my gels and refilling my bottle again. So I think, I just made myself even more tired because of how frustrated or discouraged I was. And then on top of that, or because of that, my hamstrings, my lower back, my quads even were starting to they just felt dead. I felt like I needed a new pair of legs. I could barely bend them. I tried to take a few seconds to kind of sit in a squat and just stretch them out a little bit. But I mean, it just felt brutal. Walking wasn't too hard, but I knew that to reach my goal, I needed to just keep running as much as I could, but I didn't want to push too hard and then actually have a cramp or something crazy. So I'd say it was a tale of two halves. The first half of the race, if you look at my stats, half marathon PR, 10-mile PR. I mean, there's just PRs everywhere all the way leading up to 30K, lifetime PRs for me. So I was really happy with that. And at the end of the day, I still hit a marathon PR, still was sub 5 as a 4:49 finish, which shaved 45 minutes off my marathon over the summer. And it's really mixed feelings because I feel like I'm proud and there was a success and there was a lot of experience gained, especially being my first race. But there was also a lot of disappointment because I really strongly believe I would have had 4:30 in me if things just went kind of to plan. And, if things kept going like they were in the first half, I think a 4:15, 4:20 marathon was really, possible at that point. So, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, but it's also not all doom and gloom. So that's a not too long-winded recap of how the race went. Obviously, there's some more details mixed in that I'll be posting over Instagram, especially as far as my thoughts. During the race, I tried to really remember and write down as much as I could. But that's basically how the race went. And at the end of the race, I was just so freaking tired and defeated. I just laid down in the grass for a minute. And I didn't even want to go get my little finisher hat and blanket because, one, I didn't want to walk over there. I really just did not have the energy to do anything. I was worried about puking. And I did I puked once. It was just all water, though. And that was kind of it. But it was just this overwhelming feeling of just weakness. And I knew if I drank water, it would quench my thirst, but I'd probably puke again.
Yeah.
But if I don't drink anything, I just feel really thirsty and uncomfortable. So, but the only thing I actually care about keeping is the medal, and they're going to ship that later, which was it was kind of like a joke amongst a lot of the runners and the posters because the Richmond Marathon coordinators fucked up and the medals are delayed, so they didn't have them at the finish line. But
that damn COVID.
Yeah, it's all COVID's fault. Yep.
That's awesome, man. So I think it was for the finisher of the marathon, a 2-hour some minute marathon. Who was it? 2 hour 40 minutes was the fastest time.
I think there was a 2:26. No, 2:42 maybe.
2:42. It's a guy.
Yeah,
looked like maybe in his early 40s.
No, there's some old I told you there was another guy with my last name.
Fucking
this older
rolling.
guy that was 52 that ran a 2:42 or 2:47. Yeah,
look fit. 40s, probably healthy.
Yeah, but he qualified for Boston and shit.
God
yeah,
damn, son.
Yeah,
it's fucking moving.
Yeah,
imagine full out fucking sprinting that bitch.
Yeah,
I mean you got to be right to I mean I ran beside you,
yeah.
so give me some perspective when I jogged beside you.
Yeah,
for that 100 yards at best. What type of pace would you say that was, effort-wise? Was that, your fastest, or was that, medium?
What I was running at that point, for reference to people.
Because that's a halfway mark almost, right?
Yeah, at halfway, my heart rate had already spiked, and I began to run more in the range I was supposed to.
Yeah.
So my goal pace was to be anywhere between 9 and 10.5. It's a big range, but that was supposed to be my range for the whole race. The first 10 miles, I was running 9:15 to 9. I was cruising. So I was for me, pushing kind of fast.
Okay.
But by the time I was with you, I was running more like a 10:15.
Yeah.
Which is usually where I'll hang out for long runs and things like that, to where it's not overly easy. It's not a recovery pace, but it's not fast. you
No.
know?
I mean, for me, when I jogged beside you, and my calves were already cramping for some reason when I ran beside you, but it was a decent pace.
Oh, it's still
And
a
to
decent,
imagine to cut your time in half to get that.
Yeah, they're
No.
basically to run that. I think it's to run that to run sub 3. I think you have to run like a 6:52, 6:47 per
Dang,
pace
dude.
average. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's another level. I think what's very doable and possible eventually in a few years is me running sub 4. If I could break into that
Yeah.
like 3 hour 40-minute area, that would be really cool. Shave an hour.
Well, you shaved almost an hour this time, so
basically,
given a year of training, you
yeah.
would expect probably the same.
Yeah,
hopefully.
I'm sure there's diminishing returns, but overall, absolutely. There's improvement to be made, and I think a 3 hour 40-minute would probably be like a mid-low 8-minute, mile,
Yeah.
minute per mile. So it's fat. That would be like my tempo. That's like what I could average for 10K, and probably could average like an 8:50 or 9-minute for a half marathon.
I think I caught this because I filmed a little bit I tried to film for my 50-mile ride shortly after meeting up with Brock, but I went out there a little early because as soon as you texted me, I was like, I don't know what bridge he's coming from because I know we talked about the Belvedere Bridge, and I was like, I looked at the map that morning. It looks like y'all were coming through Huguenot. I was like, okay, well, that could be a little quicker. Let me go out there. So I was watching. I probably stood out there for about 10, 12 minutes before you came through, and I caught a couple people, all different types of people running. And the craziest thing I saw, motherfucker, shirtless, shorts, a little chilly that morning, barefoot.
Barefoot?
No socks, no shoes. Motherfucker was barefoot. Could have just been a bum running. I don't know.
It's probably a bum running.
He was with the crowd, dude. This dude was barefoot. I got it on
Really?
video on my phone.
Damn.
I wish I didn't have your GoPro on, so I pulled up my phone real quick to film it.
So you know what's
dude is
a
running.
sad note that Maddie told me about is apparently like maybe 20, 30 minutes before I finished or something like that, there was a girl that was being basically held up and assisted to cross like close to the finish line by her friends. I guess she'd been cramping really bad or whatever. And then she just fainted probably like 30, 40 feet from the finish line. Didn't finish.
What do you mean, like just laid out?
I don't know. I wasn't there, but apparently she just dropped. And, the EMTs and all that came and helped her.
Fuck, that's
That
scary,
would
dude.
fucking suck, though.
That's
I'd be
scary.
like, if I die, put me across the finish line, you know?
Drag me.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well,
That
I mean,
close, you know?
it makes you, well, I guess with something like that running, you can only carry but so much liquid on you. There's those rest stops where you can, I guess, grab Cokes, like little swigs of Coke and like water, hopefully. They had stations like
They
that,
had
right?
water and Noon, which is the worst tasting thing in
But
the world.
it's electrolytes you're getting in.
Yeah,
some
it tastes like
sodium, right?
shit, though. Yeah.
Yeah, but either cramp up and not make it past the line or
But
drink
my
it.
thing is, like, I don't care how much, like, promotional dollars they have. Like, they need to talk to GYMFLO.
Yeah,
They need to,
well, Go ahead, but
I mean,
we're going to cost a little something.
Noon just does not taste good. I don't get it. But anyway,
But
But
like
yeah, they had theirs.
I guess
the problem is you don't know you need it until you
until
need
it's
it.
too
you know?
late. Yeah,
until it's
and
too
then
late.
next thing you know, you're too cramped up to even like really function.
Yeah.
That sucks, dude. And that was what. So after I met with you, I walked back to the house, ate a quick meal again.
Yeah, let's
already
give
ate
a
few times.
transition. So
Yeah.
Austin was doing his 50-mile ride this weekend, which was an important one because A, it's the longest you've ever done,
Yeah.
and B, it'll be a big measurement to see and reevaluate where you're at basically 3-4 weeks out from trying to do 100.
Yeah. I like to just blow my body out. But met with Brock.
Doesn't want to see another birthday.
Caught a few clips of him running, and I was like, all right, well, daylight's ticking away. The ride's going to take me, I was assuming, 3.5 hours. So went back home, grabbed a meal, packed food, snacks, water, all my Shazam, all my supplements, and hopped down to Rockets Landing. That's where I started off. Because I thought about going out to 4 Mile Creek and doing that ride again, but I was like, you know what? Let me see how far it is from the dead stop, because that's where I'll be riding from when it comes time. So
Is that going to be though? Because I know from there, isn't it like 23 already? It's not like 0. The 0 is probably back closer to the city, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? The mile markers.
Oh, the mile marker. Yeah. So I would probably
So you
technically
would
need
have to start.
technically start at like the flood wall, I guess, which is like another mile. I think it's only about a mile away.
Is that the 0 point?
Mm-hmm. There's a sign that says from this point is 50.4 miles to Waynesburg. There's a little sign. It's right where the train tracks, like you go under them almost.
Oh, you're right. You know what? I'm thinking of it the inverse way. I forgot that it counts towards Richmond.
Yeah.
So that's why it says like, okay, yeah, you're right. All right, go
So
on.
I'd have to like technically start a little bit further
Yeah,
back so I
yeah.
could ride back, or
Yeah.
when I come back from Waynesburg, just go a little further, which I think I'll go ahead and knock out the extra before I go, because I won't want to pass my car probably when I come back. But got out there and kind of shit the bed right out the gate. One of my tires was a little low because as soon as I sat on the bike, unfortunately I brought my bike pump. I left it in my car. Whew, that could have been a shit show. But pumped up the bike tires and got on the go, started Strava, made it about 2 miles out of the city, chain pops off. I shifted gears to my big sprocket, just popped it right off the thing. I was like, holy shit, man. Flipped the bike over right there in the middle of the trail, put the chain back on. I'm like, all right, let's see how far I can make it. So I keep going, and I make it a good 20, 30 miles out, and I start, or not 20, more like 18 miles out, 20-ish, and I start to feel a little fatigued. But I was starting to incorporate some carbs, things that me and Ronnie had been talking about for intra training.
I thought it was a bold move to try and experiment with the sample product we're trying to make instead of using the flow.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't really.
I like to live vicariously.
Think it, but like carb's a carb. I mean, I guess I could have ate whatever and just messed me up. Worst thing happens, I shit my pants, I guess. But
always an option.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe I don't know. I guess I don't overthink it that much. I guess, but it probably does help to be consistent.
Mm-hmm.
But got out there and made of course 3 or 4 pee breaks here and there, and once I made it to the 25-mile mark, I felt pretty good. Regardless of the wind.
4 pee breaks before you got to the halfway point?
Yeah.
Holy shit,
I'm pissing, dude.
Your bladder is like a little purse.
Pissing. And I'm chugging. I guess I'm crushing water, but I guess since I'm not sweating at all, I didn't sweat one bit.
I don't know how you drink out of a shaker while you're on the bike.
Dude, just like this.
You don't spill it over yourself at all?
Past people? No, dude.
They're like, this guy's fucking nuts.
I mean, just like you. I mean, I'm not running.
No, I know, but I just can't imagine trying to sip through something when you're like moving that fast.
If anybody can do it, I can do it.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I think overall experience. I made it out there, turned around, coming back. It's when shit hit the fan. The wind, regardless, that whole day was shit. But the wind was definitely taking a toll on me when I was coming through a lot of those open fields out there in the boons. And going through the woods is where I picked up a lot of time, picked up a lot of speed, was able to like just hunk down. And it was like a double-edged sword because when you're out in the field, you're getting sunlight. It was warm. Even though it was windy, it was warm. You go into the woods, it's chilly. Not a lot of wind, but just very chilly. Knuckles were numb, stuff like that. But the last probably 10 to 8 miles were very, very tough. Very tough. One of those deals where I just head down on the road, not really looking up more than like 6 feet away, just pushing.
You know what? I was talking to Ronnie about this. You need to get a heart rate monitor or some kind of watch because I want to see.
Can't afford that shit, dog.
God. Gonna need to sell some more supplements.
Yeah.
Because I'd love to see just more data on it because I forget that, with your Strava, really the app just, it can tell like the speed and the distance, obviously.
Just shows that I'm fucking crushing.
Yeah, exactly.
This guy crushes.
I know.
That's what it says.
But, just side note I was thinking about. But,
what, heart rate monitor?
Well, just a heart rate, like seeing your heart rate on these certain sections
Yeah.
and seeing like your speed, because that way you can really know like,
Was I going too hard?
Yeah, were you going too hard? Were you in a good spot?
I'm probably going too. I can go ahead and admit I'm going too hard most of the time.
Yeah.
Because I'll go ahead and admit, like when I see people on the trail, I pass them. Like even if they're going decent speed, I don't want to. I don't
like being behind people
something
either. Yeah.
deep down inside me gives me this like emotion that I'm like, fuck this, I'm going around them. And I'll usually drop it down a gear, pass them, and then I'll look behind me to make sure that they're like in the dust. It's weird though. I mean, I know I'm overdoing it when I do that, but that's the way I live.
Yeah.
Also, there's points and times, and I don't know. I have to talk to Ronnie about this, but during those like last 8 to 10 miles, when I would try and stop, like to just park the bike real quick, not get off it, just stand up, and then like swig some water. My legs hurt more when I stopped than if I just kept pedaling. It was the weirdest sensation ever. Like they hurt like a son of a bitch if I stopped and tried to like straighten them out or just like chill and not keep them moving. But them just slowly moving felt better, not good, but felt better than stopping. And that's what sort of helped me get to the car because it was a bad point when I got back to the car, hopped off the bike. I couldn't stay still. I couldn't get in the car. I had to walk around. And
describe that. So were you able to drive home?
Yeah, so I parked my bike against the car.
Because I know sometimes my hamstrings have been so sore I'm worried about pushing the pedal.
Yeah. I was dead serious worried that like I was going to pass out. I don't know what from, like anxiety, because my legs were so tight and hurt so bad. And I'm not trying to like play it off. I can push through some pain, and that was the worst like sensation / pain that my legs muscular wise have ever felt. No pain in the joints. Ankle held up like a champ. Knees great. Adductors, teardrops of the fucking quads. Glutes and hamstrings were okay, but my adductors, the inside of my thighs, I guess from just staying tight and tucked in and just pumping. I mean, the tightest I've ever felt in my life. Immediately, I walked around for a good 15 to 20 minutes around the car. Couldn't sit still. People probably were looking at me thinking I was crazy. I was like, knees slightly bent, just trying to walk around the fucking Rockets landing.
I can imagine, yeah.
Hopped in the car finally, turned my heat warmers on. And I was like, oh my God, I got to get the fuck home.
You know what I was glad that I had? So first of all, I mentioned how I didn't feel good. But the trick is, I sent you a message. Maybe it would have been too late, but I basically told you what I would have told myself when I did was slowly bring in food and sugar.
Yeah.
But what works best for me to where I can get it in easier.
You did text me that.
Yeah.
And I didn't. I ate a fuck ton.
I'm sure you did. Well, no, you can eat a lot, but me personally, if I try to eat like solid food or something too big, I almost do not have the energy to chew it. Like it's so tired to chew, my mouth is dry. And so what I like to do is some kind of smoothie or something like that that's like almost like liquefied.
Yeah.
And now I can get in sugar quickly. So we hit tropical smoothie and fuck them, dude.
Oh, they take 10 years.
Well, for some reason it was like the busiest time of ever.
Which one?
The one right near here actually. It's across like it's by that Dick's Sporting Goods.
Yep.
And Maddie goes in. She's first in line, but apparently they had like 20 online orders they had to fulfill, and they did those first. And then when she ordered, they still had a bunch of issues. Some like homeless woman walked in and stole someone's drinks that was an online pickup, so then they had to remake that order. It was a shit show. And so I'm sitting in their car just dying for something, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's been 2 hours post-race. I haven't had anything.
Yeah, no, I would have been done.
And so I finally get my little Jetty Punch. It's like some strawberry something bullshit that I liked from years ago. I thought it would satisfy, and it did. Slowly sipping through that, got home, showered up, immediately hopped in those boots, man. Those fucking compression boots, those brought me back to life.
I swear, I thought about those. Like legitimately when I was out in Rockets Landing, sitting there on that dock, about to die. I was thinking about like
how much would Brock charge me?
I guess to fight that sensation, I did squeeze my legs. Like I was standing there just squeezing my thighs, trying to like grip them and like massage them almost. That gave some sense of relief a little bit.
You'd need a roller or the compression boots. I mean, they do it for you. You don't have to do anything.
Yes.
And two, they just slowly compress and guide the blood flow out of your legs and flush it back in.
I think that was the problem. There was so much just shit built up in my legs.
Yeah, a ton of acid in there. Yeah.
And I mean, the worst. I've had leg days, fucking crazy ones. Never felt anything like that. And anyways, made it home though. God willing, walked up the stairs and immediately grabbed whatever was on the microwave. I didn't care if it was Aspen or Leave, so I think it was a Leave. Took like 5 or 6 of them.
Oh fuck, dude!
Yeah, I was.
Jesus Christ!
I was ready.
5 Aleve?
I believe it was at least 4 or 5, and then big boy, house pour glass of wine. Immediately, I had no food, just
Dude,
Aleve
and wine. I don't know how you
wine.
live sometimes. And the shit you do sometimes. Combining 5 Aleve with wine. I'm just like, what are you doing?
I told Kathy, and she's like, you're on blood thinners, too. She's like, you just want your blood just straight
Are you still
water.
on blood thinners?
Yeah, I'm still on them. I'm on them until January. Yeah, dude. And
dude, you're on suicide watch. I swear to God.
And then while I was sipping on my wine, I went and started the bath, hot water, steaming hot. Sat in that, like, you know how sometimes you'll get the hot water going and you'll get in there when it's almost full? I sat down in that bitch bare naked with no water in the bottom of that thing, just ready to die in the bath. And I was just sipping my wine, letting the bathtub fill up. And I crushed the glass before it was even full, turned the water off. And then next thing I know, I wake up and I'm still in the water. I'm like, holy shit. I guess I dozed off real quick. I was like, let me get out of this tub before I drown in it. So hopped out.
This is a message to Ronnie. I'm sorry you got to deal with this, dude. Because I tell you.
Well, that wasn't his protocol.
No, I know, but it's just, and
he didn't give me a post-ride protocol. By the way,
I'm not here to be your mama, and obviously you do it Austin's way,
yeah.
and I love that. But some of the shit you do, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I'm sure there was like questionable probably warm up or. Set up protocol for starting the ride, and
warm
then
up.
Yeah, and
that
then
means just hopping on the bike and
during
going.
the ride, you're trying. They always a famous thing is don't try anything new on race day. And what do? You try something
Whole
brand new
stack.
concoction, yeah, and then you finish. You come home, and you just down 5 Aleve with wine. And it's like, what the fuck is going on with this guy? Not to mention you're on blood thinners, too.
The way I thought about the wine, antioxidants.
Oh, my God.
And great sugar, grapes. Yep. A little alcohol to numb the pain. But, hey, man,
Christ,
I didn't wake up. I got out of the tub, made a few sandwiches, PBJs, little chicken sandwich, and then immediately passed out on the couch.
Hopefully that's separate, not a chicken, peanut butter, and jelly.
No, well, I had the peanut butter and jelly sandwich and the chicken sandwich.
Oh, okay. But they were separate.
Separate. Okay. And then passed out for like 2 or 3 hours till Sarah got home. So I could have died on the couch.
I thought about taking a nap, too, but by the time I had got some food in me, I felt better.
The food put me down. I woke up for about an hour, ate one more meal, then went back to bed. And then Sunday, I was supposed to, per Ronnie, I was supposed to come up here and spin for 15 minutes. I didn't do that.
Fuck.
So I went down there and just worked on the house all day. My legs definitely paid for that because it was up and down the fucking hill.
Yeah.
But
so what's the plan this week?
I'm supposed to meet up with Ronnie, I guess later tonight, he said, if I still want to move forward, to plan out the next 2 to 3 weeks, hopefully.
So that was going to be my question.
I'm still going to go for it, man. I realized that I don't know what I need to do, whether he needs to, I need to sit down with him and break down, like, all right, how far should I be? Like, give me a pace to follow. Obviously I don't have a heart rate thing, so it's like, what type of pace, mileage, so I can at least have my phone up to be like, all right, I'm not overdoing my mileage. Like, how many miles should I be in by 30 minutes
I
or
think
whatever?
the thing is,
because if not, I'm just going to be balling out.
Well, so you were like 15 miles per hour on this last ride.
Yeah.
Okay. And you can imagine that if anything, doubling the distance, you'll be a little bit slower in the long run. So even if you did 15 miles per hour, let's say you held that.
I mean, it's 15.8 if you want to be tight.
But once you add another 50 miles, maybe the average comes down.
It probably does. Well, I will say, I looked at my average when I got to the halfway mark at the turnaround at 25, and it was over 16. It was like 16.3. But on the way back, it went down to 15.8.
Yeah. So all in all, you're looking at like 6.5 hours, not including any kind of like pee break.
Yeah. Include about 9 pee breaks.
Yeah. So you're looking at probably like 7 hours out there.
Yeah.
So what I'll say is I think you could do it, but it's going to be a sufferfest. And so really, and I'm explaining this because it kind of relates to myself too with how this marathon went and how I want to proceed with a 50-miler, is I could force myself, kind of like I did with the 50K, I could force myself to sign up for a 50-miler in, let's say, the spring. And I could troop through maybe and just make it, it's going to be hell either way, but make it the fucking fieriest hell that it is, suffer like hell through it, and just try and take pride from just getting it done. Or I could probably spend more time preparing, get to the fall, do the 50-miler, still be suffering and still be hell, but a little bit less hell, a little bit more manageable, and finish it in a little bit more of a respectable, comfortable manner, if that makes sense. And it's not like either way you're going to end with the pride of knowing you completed it, but I just wonder if you could have a compromise of 75 miles, not to talk you down, but seeing how you feel, because it's up to you either way. But 50 to 100 is different. It's like it's kind of like,
and 50 sucked.
Yeah. So, again, it's just up to you. I think, and I'm not here. I mean, I'll support either way, but I just wonder if 3 weeks is enough time to basically you're gonna have to double that shit. It sounds crazy. It's like me trying to run like a 50 like right now, I feel like. And it's like, it's just how bad do you want it to be? Do you want it to be like, I mean, it's going to suck either way, but do you want it to be absolutely painful and miserable and possibly like below your load? Or can you suffer through it in a more manageable manner and be more conditioned for in the long run? That's what I wonder.
I thought about it Saturday when I was awake. I definitely questioned a lot of things once I got off the bike. Well, first off, it was just so much pain I didn't think about the future. But when I got home and like legs started feeling better, I was questioning. Not that again, like we both mentioned, not that I don't think I could slow things down and just really grind out 100.
It's just like, do you want to be out there for like 7-8 hours, just forcing yourself through this, beat down?
I don't know. And I know Ronnie, the last time we did talk in person, he said that for a normal person, they would probably train until spring for the 100. Like, with the amount of time that I've done it, it would still be a fast prep. Yeah. But he said me training up until spring to go for the 100 would be the normal thing to do. And not that I'm out here trying to be like, oh, I'm not normal, blah, blah, blah. But, like, I don't want to and maybe when I talk with Ronnie and give him my honest thoughts, he's way smarter with this than me. Yeah. So maybe he can try and talk me out of going a little bit smarter with this, and maybe still going for the 100, but maybe allowing myself a little bit more time. Because I do believe that I need a lot more conditioning on my legs than I thought.
I think regardless, you're going to do it just like I'm going to do a 50-mile race. It's just, I don't know. It's just one of those things where I feel like knowing the right time to do it.
Yeah.
It is tough though, but it's good that you had this, midway point.
It was a nut check.
And a little bit of a gut check, and like realize, okay, here's where I'm at. Here's what I need to improve on. Like myself, I now know started off too hot with the pace. I think probably triggered or increased the chance of me having that heart issue spike. And then regardless, I think I just need to build up a little bit more endurance and longevity, specifically my hamstrings. How I'm going to go about doing that, I don't know 100%. And there is a different strategy for an ultra versus a marathon. It's a lot of just keep your body moving forward rather than holding a high pace for those 26 miles. If you're going for 50, you're mixing in rest breaks, you're mixing in walking. But regardless, though, the durability and longevity of my legs needs to be there. So that's something I'm like thinking about, leading into it,
If I had to be honest, I do believe I am not ready for the 100. Now, when it came time, I didn't, and this is just my, I guess, mentality and knowing that, like, I put pressure on myself announcing that I was going to do it before my 32nd birthday. It's like, well, you signed up for it. You're going to fucking have to nut it out, blow your balls off. Pow, pow. Like, literally.
yeah, they might. Yeah.
But, we'll talk with Ronnie, and maybe I'll follow up next week and be like,
Yeah.
oh, guys, I'm retiring the bike.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
done with
and
this
the
shit.
last thing I'll add on it is I was explaining it to Maddie, too, because I was talking to her about my own, I was talking to her about what I thought about a 50-miler, because people are already messaging me like, oh, yeah, I wanted the 50-mile. I'm like, whoa, slow it down. Let me just relax today. But it's almost like if you're training to hit a 4 or 5 squat, right? And let's say you've been training for 10 weeks. Let's say you've been training for 9 weeks. You could attempt it on week 10, and it'd be like RP 9.9. Just everything you have, the stars align, and you barely squeeze it out. Or you could train to week 14 and hit it like a RP 9.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like that's a good way to kind of think about it, to where you could absolutely empty everything you have, or, you could still, bust your fucking ass, but hit it in probably a little bit safer for your body and muscles area, and probably have a little bit more pride and, what's the right word? A little bit more pride in how you did it.
I think
You know
that's
what I
the
mean?
case, because even with the 50, I know I could have made that better. I could have made it smoother. Regardless of the weather and whatnot, like, because I had a bad attitude first getting out there with the wind and shit. But I know that I could make that a lot smoother if I prepared a little bit better, if my legs were just more conditioned. And I thought about it a little bit more. These are all thoughts Saturday and Sunday. Was, I was thinking back on the 50, I was like, man, I can ride 30, no problem. But I remember when I did my first 30 that was pretty tough. But the
That's
past
how I'm
time
thinking about it, too.
I've ridden 2 hours, which gets me about 30 miles. I can do that, no problem. That's whatever. But just that extra hour, which, gets me out to about 50, crushes me.
Yeah, for me, once I go over like a half marathon or definitely over 16 miles, it's like, okay, I feel that.
Yeah.
But it's about just extending that goalpost, right?
Yeah. And I wonder, besides me, the weight training that we do still and continue to try and push some heavy weights in here, it's like, I wonder, and this is just stuff that I'll just have to figure out with Ronnie, and whatever else that I look into, just a way to be able to, I'm sure it's just like running. You just got to go a little bit further, just push the needle a little bit further each time you run. But it's like these legs, it's crazy how unconditioned, I guess, or how unused to that, which is nothing. I didn't like. It's like you're doing the same movement.
The thing
It's
is
just that extra fucking.
Well, it
it
just
burns
takes
them up.
time, man. You
Yeah.
know, like I've only been running for a year, and I realized like, okay, I've made like a lot of progress, even though I shit on myself a lot, and I talk about how slow I am, and I am slow. Like I've made a lot of progress from where I started, and I think you've made a lot of progress since you've only been really cycling for like, what, like since you've really only had that bike for like 2 months. You've really
Yeah.
been cycling 3 to 4 months, you
Yeah.
know. So I think there's a lot of pride to be taken in. Like 4 months ago, you couldn't run or ride 50 miles.
No.
So, taking it piece by piece, acknowledging where you're at, appreciating that, but then also realizing, okay, there's more work to do and taking the right steps forward. So,
Yeah. You're
Yeah.
right.
but anyway,
Yeah.
after 45 minutes of talking about us, we can talk about y'all motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Right?
Get some. Stay hard. Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know what else to say about it.
Do you want to rant about money?
Well, yeah, we can. I totally forgot about that.
That was when you were fired up yesterday. You were like, I
Well,
want to
yeah,
talk
yesterday I
about this.
was, and hopefully, if anybody's still listening by now, it's a problem that, I'm in business, but in a different type of business. So is Brock, and we just see things out there from not only our businesses but other aspects of people about how they mention that they can't afford this. Which, long story short, we are going to be talking about managing money. And not to be like, we are not financial advisors. We don't, I mean, I technically don't even have a lot of money. I just know how to save it now.
Yeah, this probably won't even really be tips. It's just going to be us like
Practical
ranting.
shit about how we do it, at least.
Yeah. Yeah, I think people just, you can't live at your means. You just can't.
Yes.
A lot of people, it's a no-brainer, don't live over your means, right? Like, don't buy, the $500,000 house. You couldn't even get a loan for it, but buy that house if you're only making like $40,000 a year,
Yes.
But where people fuck up, though, is they're spending exactly what they're making. And it sounds like, not that many people do that, or I'm not doing that. But then you really break it down, and if you only have like $1,000 or less in your checking account, that's probably, that's living too close to your means.
That's a sign.
That's a sign.
And in all honesty, this talk isn't about people buying houses. This is like the decision from buying those Jordans or that bullshit clothing or whatever that is putting you to $2 in your account or negative in your account most of the time.
Yeah.
It's like...
Or just acknowledging, okay, if you want to buy this influencer's brand or this supplement, or you want to pay for that Netflix subscription, you have to pull something out. So if you want to add in this expense, you got to pull out another expense. So if you want to add in a Netflix subscription, you got to take out the extra, meal that you're eating out this week, you know? So you have to find these ways to, counteract and balance things out. And I just think people just get carried away, and once they get, a raise, they get a stimulus check from the government or whatever, they just think immediately, what can I buy with that? And I get it, because savings is boring, you just see the money in your account, and it's just a number. You can't, you don't taste it, you can't, wear it, you know? But A, you never know when you might need it, emergencies pop up. And B, you want stability. You don't want your card bouncing over $30 or $5, or you can't pay this or pay that or pay the bill, or rent gets questionable. And then a lot of people, like, I've never understood, and and the other thing too is, people might think, more on my end than yours, but what do I know? I'm just young, or I come from probably some upper class, like, wealthy family or something, which isn't true. I pay my own bills. I've been living out of the house for, ever since 18. And, I've just made smart decisions to avoid, debt collecting up. So something that I always thought was a common sense thing was, if you have a credit limit, you pay off the balance. You don't let the card kind of stack up to the points building interest.
Yes.
100%.
And there's a I forgot this meme, and it's just like the little spending.
I feel like we're just giving a finance 101 thing, and we're just saying like obvious things that probably everyone listening knows, but
they don't know though.
But they don't know.
Because you and me see this.
We see it
with almost everybody. And it's just, I don't know where the disconnect of like keeping up with the Joneses or keeping up with this person or that person, trying to like look like you've got it. Mm-hmm. You got to be.
I see so many people with the new iPhone. I'm like, why did you buy the new iPhone?
What's wrong with your old phone?
I have like a 4-year-old iPhone, which is I could still probably do with a 6-year-old iPhone.
I kept my old
phone. Makes calls,
yep.
Goes to the internet, sends texts, checks emails.
And there's something about like the hype or the clout of getting new shit and be able to post about it, but that doesn't give you any. There's no return in that.
No, and where we get pissed off, at least where I do, is when people make the comparison, or they think you got it easy for XYZ reason, or your business is crushing it.
Yes.
It's not that our business is making us extremely wealthy. Maddie and I have made this explicit, and like every kind of time we talked about it. We do not take a paycheck from Iron Built Gym. All the money goes back into the gym,
reinvest.
Pays off equipment, reinvest. And we are just in a position where we're financially stable because we don't go out on weekends, because we don't buy a bunch of alcohol, because we make certain decisions to be financially stable and pull back expenses. We live way below our means.
And I think it's all about creating opportunity. y'all created an opportunity to be able to open this gym debt-free. To
Yeah.
be able to
Yeah.
live off of y'all's means because y'all made the sacrifices, or I call
For
them
years.
I call them investments.
Yeah, this wasn't.
You invested that sacrifice into not spending that money. That's an investment into y'all's future, creating a business,
Yeah, the gym was not built off loans. It was not built off a credit card. It was not built off, a family members or parents' money or anything like that. It was purely money that we saved from making more than we're spending and putting it aside.
Yeah.
And just a year and a half, 2 years of just doing that and then capitalizing on it. It's not magic, you know? People think it's magic. It's not.
And
it's simple.
If anybody, I guess I don't make a lot of money, but I guess maybe to some I might make a little bit of money, but I'm able to do so much and still have money set aside because I am tight as shit. At least lately.
Well, and sometimes it doesn't matter how much you make, but it's really how much you set aside. Like if you make $40,000 and you're able to set aside $1,000 a month or something like that, but someone else that makes $80,000 is only able to set aside like $500 a month.
Yes.
Then you might be living too close to your means. You don't have as much money set aside to do other things.
But since I live inside my means as much as I can. The only time I put out money is if there's some type of return or investment. Most of the time. I might buy a little piddly thing, $3 thing here or there. I try not to eat out, blah, blah, blah. But me saving that money has created the opportunity where I could buy that $300 bike and no sweat. I can reinvest back into GYMFLO if GYMFLO needs money. I can put money, hundreds of dollars a month into this rental property.
And I think everyone usually thinks of investment being, especially like nowadays, crypto or real estate or something like that. But sometimes investing can be as simple as buying a new camera because that camera is going to help you make more content, which might lead to an opportunity later in the road for finances. So, it doesn't have to be something direct or something large or something big. It doesn't have to be a business even. But, it could be an online course that teaches you how to edit photos better, right? And then you can actually make a business out of that, You have to just invest in some kind of skill or opportunity or equipment that kind of sets you up in the long term.
Yeah. You definitely, if there's something you want or something you want to do out there, you can almost with whatever type of income or wage you have, you can probably make it happen if you reevaluate what you're spending your money on. Literally write down everything you're spending your money on and be like, all right, that's not a necessity. Yeah. That is not a necessity. That's bullshit. That's me trying to flex. That's me trying to keep up with this clout or crowd. Fuck that.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
No.
Are you happy at the end of the day? If you're not, you need to change some shit up. And, I saw a meme, and I didn't do the math, so I just trusted the meme, but it was like spending, I think it's a piddly $24 a day can equal up to $10,000 a year in just wasted money. And a lot of people are blowing that on eating out and drinks, whatever the fuck. If you're blowing, I think it was $24, $27 a day. Will equate to $10,000 that you were just chucking away that you could have put into a camera, a set of clothes, shoes, a vacation.
And, a lot of times people think, I don't have big expenses that much. And sometimes they're lying. Sometimes they're telling the truth. But I always think of something as simple as when I was at VCU, I'd see so many people consistently in that Starbucks line. And even if you shave off $5 drink once a week, you cut out one drink a week, 5 times 52, it's like what, $270 something dollars?
That can get you that can create a lot of opportunity.
260. Yeah, 260. Which that's just one drink a week though, cutting that out. If you're already getting Starbucks twice a week, you're getting Chick-fil-A a $10 meal, at $500, so it's.
And then people wonder why they just wonder. I used to be the same way, and that's why I'm so pissed off, because I wish people could make the connection of they wonder why they can't do something or why they are stuck in the spot they're in. It's just because those little dumb decisions that they make, and I used to do it not too long ago, but you just don't realize you're just being
to connect it back to exercise, you have to suffer in the present to be further in the future.
Yes.
So, in a workout or in a run, you have to spend months and months running easy, slow miles before you can see the benefit and run fast.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same way you have to spend time lifting, building up your training volume before you can really peak and hit that PR, right? So it's the same way with life. You have to live below your means, you know, eat some fucking bland food, stay home, don't go to the club, don't buy the big presents, you know, be smart around Christmas, find deals when you can on Black Friday for presents.
Play the long game.
Play the long game, and then you can capitalize later.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Not magic.
Everybody's worried about the weekend or, you know, like you just mentioned. Yeah. We need to be thinking about 3 years from now. What opportunities am I creating, or what sacrifices, aka investments, are I making today that are going to give me something or an opportunity a year from now, 3 years from now, whatever.
And again, we're not experts. We're not your mommy and daddy, but we're just trying to give some friendly advice, fire you up a little bit. And if you're doing good, keep it up. Props.
And look, I might have overstated. I ain't pissed off. I'm just disappointed in a lot of y'all. I just know you could do better.
Yeah, we know you can do better.
Because I'm not Mr. Perfect, but I've been there, done that.
We want more people to win.
Yes, it's easier than you think. It's a little tough at first, but it's easier than you think.
Because we aren't the smartest guys.
I'm dumb as fuck.
Making it work. 100%.
Dumb as a rock.
100%.
But you just got to keep moving forward and make good decisions.
There you go.
Guys, I hope you all enjoyed this one. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Give us a follow on social media. Description below. We'll see you all next week. We're out.